Hey guys, so I just wanted to go over and just record a quick demo of how to get the best out of this Juniper Genius topology that you hopefully will have read the blog post about and downloaded the lab, which is now available. So I just wanted to point out some key issues. Obviously, once you've imported the lab into your EVNG and you have it opened and ready to go on the canvas, it should look like this. Um, and As you can see, we've got the Juniper Genius topology from the service provider videos. So I've just manually copied all of this information myself and just created the topology as close as I could based on the information provided in the videos. So um, there was no config provided to me, or so there has been some assumptions that have been made, but for what we be doing regarding the videos, this should be more than enough to get you going and just help you to follow along, if not anything else. So, as you can see, I have configured all the nodes independently, so I've not used any tricks with just like Juniper has the ability to use virtual routers and logical connections, and I didn't want to confuse the issue too much, so I've built this out fully with each individual router is a physical node that you can connect to and work with. So what do you need to do? Basically, once you've imported this into EVNG, for those of you that don't know, um, as stated in the blog post, we have a couple of different config sets. So what you would need to do is before I've left a node running on purpose just to highlight. So before you make any decisions on starting up a node, so before you right click and start your node, what you'd want to be doing is heading over to here in the navigation bar on the left to the startup configs. Here, if we select router 1, we are assigning a default config tab. So this is a default config set. So this is basically, we can just have a quick glance, you'll see we have the interfaces configured all the way up to the loopback inet.0 of 1.1. So what that means is if you was to just start this lab up from scratch, you'll only have the interfacing and the IP addressing and the loopbacks. Yeah. So what you would need to do then is you'd need to fire up Juniper Genius, um, and work through and create your own configs and try and follow along with the great training material that is available. The other option is if you head over back into startup configs, drop down tab, change it to the completed config set. As you can see, it does a little bit of a window change. And what that does, if we go back to R1 now, there's a lot more configuration. So as you can see before, um, we kind of had to here, which was the default config set. And then when we load the completed config set, we will get all of this extra config which I've added in. As I say, following along, so we've got the ISIS, we've got the ISIS addressing, we've got some aggregate routes just as part of the routing options and routing part of the videos. Then we've got our IBGP group, we've got our EBGP group, and then we've got obviously our protocol OSPF and protocol ISIS, and also some of the policy statements that the Juniper Genius training goes over. So if you're looking to just get straight involved with this and you wanted to just see it all up and running, then you just need to again start up configs, change it to your desired config set, and then just make sure you remember to hit this tab. If we just hover over it, it set all nodes to the selected config set. So what that means is it'll set all the nodes to our completed config set. Then I've already done this just for speed to save you waiting for a node to load up. Then what will happen. So just root and Juniper, capital J, CLI as always, and then if we just do show configuration protocols, for example, there you go. You can see for XR1, which is our router within the AS65530, peering to 65500 on a neighbor 10013. So you can see we have the configuration from the completed um, config set. So we've got a little bit of policy, we've got the EBGP neighbor, and we've got the root and autonomous system numbers. Then we've got our IP address for the loopback, and obviously the physical point-to-point link configured. And this will be the same process for all of these nodes now. Depending on, I just like to add, depending on the resources in your own environment, I normally just normally just start off um, like XR1 and R1, make sure they're all up and running. Make sure that you can get some pings across while you're doing them tests. Maybe fire up R3. Wait for that one to boot up. Then you can test the pings here, and the BGP neighborships come up. And just slowly bring each node into the lab. Obviously, we're not all we're not all able to have super computer servers, so it just takes a little bit of awareness that you don't want to kill your Eve instance, and these appliances do use quite a bit of resources. So just for the control plane, you need two 2 gigs of RAM. So if you times that by 9, you're getting onto quite a big number. Then you've got to think about your forward and plane nodes, which are even larger. So 4 gigs of RAM. So each VMX is adding up to like 6 gigs of RAM, and then obviously you need your CPU power. So yeah, I do run this off an old HP Gen 6 server with, I think it's 120 gig of RAM, a couple of 100 gigs of hard disk, and it works fine. I just have to be a bit cautious and a bit conscientious when I'm starting up the lab. That's all, and it's just one of those things. So just going back to the Juniper Genius lab, don't forget you can set up a free account on Juniper Genius. Head over to that world and get yourself involved in the service provider training. Really, really fantastic resources, and hopefully this lab will come in handy for you. And so yeah, I'd just like to end it there, and always reach out to me via Twitter, LinkedIn, and also via my website. So thanks for taking the time, and I'll speak to you soon. Goodbye.